So today we're going to be taking a look at how to load Filament, a spool of filament into a 3D printer. This is a MakerBot Replicator Plus, so we have a couple different 3D printers here in the lab, and we've got a brand new spool of filament. This is the purple color, and we were running a little low, so let's just pretend like we ran out and we need to change spools. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to lift up this back part. This is actually where the spool is going to sit. We keep the spools in the plastic bags with a silica gel packet just to prevent them from getting too much moisture, because when the filament is in a humid environment, sometimes it can cause the prints to be a little sticky, and there will be little fibers. So you want to try to keep these in a nice, cool, dry environment. So we like to keep ours in these plastic bags, so I'll set that right there. So here's our spool. First thing, normally this is going to be like that when they come brand new. They'll come, see that one broke, they'll come basically like that. And so you'll want to find the end. This is going to spin counterclockwise as it comes out of the spool. So as you can see, we've got this plastic line that is going to feed the filament, and we're going to feed that through that. So first thing we're going to do is find our end, and then this kind of just snaps into place. So now the spool is good to go. It can now spin freely. We're going to take this end and we're going to push it up through this plastic tubing, and you can kind of see it coming through. So now here it is. So it's coming through. And you just want to keep rotating that until you see the filament come out of this end. I like to pull about, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches out on that end. And now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the display. We're going to go to the load filament option, and it will say that the extruder is heating. So that's this part right here. So we're going to wait for that to heat up. It needs to get to 215 degrees Celsius in order for us to load the filament. So we'll skip ahead to that part, and once it's heated, we'll go ahead and add it to the extruder. Okay, so as you can see, our target temperature is almost at 215, and when it gets close to that, you'll hear the extruder start to pull. And what we're going to do is we are going to take the filament, and you really, okay, so here we go. So you can hear the extruder starting to pull. You really have to push this down kind of hard. It's going to feel like you're pushing it too hard, but we're really going to push really hard until you feel it start to pull. So now I can feel the filament is being pulled by the extruder. And now we're going to take a look under the printer and wait until we see filament coming out of the extruder. So there it comes. It's that nice purple color. And now that that is coming out, we're going to go back to our screen up here, and we're just going to push this wheel in to confirm that the filament is in fact extruding, and you'll hear it cut off. Now what you want to do is wait. I'd wait about maybe 1 to 2 minutes, because this filament that just came out of the extruder is going to be warm, maybe even hot, so be careful of that. So we're going to let this cool off for probably 1 to 2 minutes. We can go ahead and close our wheel here so it's nice and secure, and we're going to let that cool off, and then we'll come back and we'll pull this extra filament off of the extruder and the nozzle, and then we can begin printing. Okay, so we are on colts3d.com. This is the Benchy file that I mentioned earlier in the slideshow. This is a really great file to start with. It's a very small print, it's a very fast print, and because it prints from the bottom up, and it has a lot of really specific details, this is a great one to print for your first print, just to see if your printer is calibrated correctly, and make sure the temperatures and everything are right. So I've got the Benchy file right here. I'm just going to drag it into the MakerBot print software. That is the software that we use for these specific printers. So as you can see, when I drag it in there, now we can see the file. We can hold Control and kind of rotate around and take a look at it. I'm not going to mess with the size of it or the scaling or really where it is on the print bed. I like it right in the middle, and when you drag a file into MakerBot Print and most softwares, it's going to place it right in the middle of the print bed. So next we're going to choose our printer. We actually have this one hooked up with a cable. You can also put them on USB drives if you choose to do that, but we have this one connected directly to the printer. I'm going to go ahead and clean up that last bit of excess filament that was hanging from the extruder, and this one is pretty much ready to print. So we're gonna go ahead and hit print. And when you click on that, it's gonna send the file. You can see the printer is already recognizing that a file is being sent. So the first step, it's going to heat the extruder. And then it's going to load the file from the computer over to the printer. We'll wait for it to heat up, and then the printing process will begin. Okay, so as you can see, the print is beginning. What you'll notice is the nozzle is actually going to lay a line of filament down when the print begins. This is to make sure that any excess filament that was caught up in the nozzle during the loading process is out of the way. So as you can see right here, there's a little bit of filament that has been pushed out of the nozzle by the extruder just to get it out of the way so that when the print begins, it's not an issue. As we look back here in the back, you'll see that the base plate for the small boat that we are printing is now being laid by the nozzle. So the filament is extruding correctly out of the nozzle, and this is a base plate that we will later remove from the build once the build is complete. All right, let's go ahead and set up the time-lapse camera. We do have another boat that's printing on this printer, but for now we're going to set up the time-lapse camera so you can see this print quickly. All right, so as you can see, our print is complete. It's common to have, a little bit of excess filament left over. You can just pull those pieces off. This one does look a little bit stringy towards the front, but overall, this looks like a really good quality print. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this off of the print bed. Be very careful when trying to remove this from the print bed. Oftentimes we will use like a putty knife. Try not to scratch the print bed too much. Usually what I do is I will kind of apply a little bit of pressure as well as putting the putty knife up under and pulling. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, our print is complete. It is removed from the print bed. Now the last step that we have to do is removing this bottom base plate. Once again, be very careful when doing this. You can pull this with your hands and sometimes it comes off easily, depending on the temperature of the print. I also sometimes have to use pliers to get these off. Definitely wear safety glasses when doing this because little pieces of the PLA plastic can go flying. So definitely be very careful when removing this. And then all we have left to do is remove some of the stringy stuff. We can sand this down if we'd like to make it a little bit smoother, but overall this came out really well.